You're running for senator?
That's right. I'm running for U.S. Senate out of Alabama.
Let's talk about defense on the Defense Podcast.
Most politicians look at it backwards. They say, well, is it good for my state? And then I don't really care about the other two.
Yeah.
If it gets me votes, if I can buy votes with that. And
Yeah.
I am just not that kind of politician. I believe that if it's good for the United States and it's good for our national defense, then inherently it's good for Alabama. So I look at companies and have done that as national security advisor to Tommy Tuberville. That's how we measured whether it was something we would support or not.
Morgan Murphy is a Republican candidate for the U.S. Senate from Alabama who has served more than 26 years in the Navy Reserves and previously worked in national security roles within the Trump administration. He brings a veteran's perspective and a focus on advocating for Alabama's military community and conservative values as he seeks the open Senate seat in 2026.
I got into politics because I just noticed our culture collapsing, and it was a lot of times driven by what the government was doing, and it just ticked me off.
We're in a population decline, and we're going to run out of people.
I'll be completely frank with you. We don't have a handle on who's here.
They're so far ahead in manufacturing, it's crazy.
Manufacturing is a whole science, isn't it? Our elected officials didn't put up a fight for our manufacturing. I'm going to put up a fight for our industrial base.
Well, thanks for coming in, Morgan.
Glad to be here.
And so you live, what part of Alabama do you live in?
I live in Birmingham.
Okay, great. I've been there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good museum.
The Magic City.
It is Magic City.
Yeah.
How long have you lived there?
My whole life. I was born there.
Oh, wow.
And I've had a house there for the past 20 years. I've lived elsewhere, of course. I lived in New York when I was a young man in my 20s. So I was a magazine editor back
New York
in
City?
the 90s.
Manhattan?
Yeah.
Manhattan or Brooklyn?
Yeah. Nope. 78th in York, East
man.
River.
I love New York City.
I do love New York.
I know. I want to move back, but my company's in Austin, so it's a little bit of a problem.
Yeah. Well, it's also going commie. I don't know if I'd want to be there next year.
I mean, there is that. Yeah. When does that guy win? He's going to win, right?
November.
It's looking like it.
Zoran?
Mandami. Yeah.
Zoran. It reminds me of that movie, the Adam Sandler, like You Don't Mess with the Zohan. You ever see that?
Right. Yes. Except not funny.
Not funny.
Yeah.
I mean, so he's going to do he has some weird ideas. It's like he's like doing rent controls again.
Well, he's a straight up communist,
Yeah.
so the weird ideas are going to be rampant.
Well, the
in
crazy
New York.
ones, like the rent control. Oh wait, what was the one? He's going to freeze grocery prices or something.
Yeah, open government run grocery stores.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, government run grocery stores.
Yeah.
That's like in Russia,
Right? Well, New York meddles with that, So when I was in New York, I was, and this is the same today as it was when I was in New York. So I was a 22-year-old guy right out of college working for Vanity Fair. My salary was a whopping $12,000 a year. My rent was $12,000 a year. I lived on a 5th floor walk up on the Upper East Side of Manhattan.
Those numbers really don't compute that well.
Right. My boss at Vanity Fair, though, who was a pretty famous editor, lived in a rent-controlled, beautiful apartment on 5th Avenue, and his rent was less than mine. That's communism.
Yeah,
they have been under rent control, emergency rent control measures in New York since World War II. So they installed that rent control measure, and they've never left it. And that's what's wrong with... it cheats people.
It does.
Especially it cheats young people.
Because if you don't
they
get
just
into,
don't know that.
If you don't get into one of those good spots, you're getting totally robbed. Basically.
Yeah, and then there's all kind of scams going on. So the people who have those apartments, they never let go of them. They never move out of them. They sublet them on the DL to people, and it just creates this whole black market. But it's all under the guise of making housing more affordable, and what it does is it makes housing not affordable, especially for young people.
No, it's tough. It's tough. Well, welcome to the ultimatum, the drone ultimatum. I'm thinking about dropping the word drone, calling it the ultimatum, and making it about divorce and marriage and relationships. The ultimate in defense. It's a variety show. It's got a lot of different topics, but for now it's still the drone ultimatum. So we'll keep it to defense mostly.
Yeah.
You started in the Navy.
I joined the Navy in 1999.
Were you Naval Academy or?
No, I went to college.
Okay. That's it. Me too. Yeah. ROTC or did you OCS?
I was a DCO, Direct Commission Officer.
Yep. Okay. Yep. Nice. And then were you what was your mission? SWO or?
Public Affairs.
Public Affairs.
SWO. Do I look like that big a jerk to you? What are you?
My sister was a SWO.
Yeah.
So I wanted to see, because sometimes I've literally had a guy on once that was like, yeah, I was a swell. And I'm like, did you date my sister? And he actually did.
Oh, really? They eat their own. I love SWO. I would be a SWO. I think I always wanted kind of secretly to be a SWO, but it's a tough community.
Where were you stationed mostly?
I have been all over. So I'm still in.
Yeah. You're still in.
Captain in reserve. Yeah. So I've been, right now I'm at Strategic Command out in Omaha, Nebraska. Oh, the irony. I keep getting sent to places that don't have oceans.
Yeah.
Like Afghanistan. But I've been all over: New York, New Orleans, Atlanta, Korea, Morocco,
amazing,
the Pentagon, all the places.
And so, you're running for senator.
That's right, running for U.S. Senate.
Is that like
Alabama.
Are you like a masochist or something?
That seems like tough. It is. A lot of people have asked me, why in the world are you doing that? And it's tough. I mean, just this week I found out my phone was wiretapped, very likely wiretapped by Jack Smith, because I worked for Tommy Tuberville and in the intelligence community, the 2-hop process. So, Tommy, of course, called me all the time when I worked for him. So undoubtedly, Jack Smith hoovered up all of the data on my phone, and that's why I'm running, is to stop things like that.
Because, like the collections and stuff?
Yeah, our government's gotten out of control. I
agree with that. I feel like not many people, it's kind of like, it's fallen out of like the media, but for like many years, probably like 10 years ago, it was always the talk. When Snowden, the whole thing, that whole scandal with like, FISA courts and illegal wiretapping and just spying. What happened to the Fourth Amendment or whatever,
Illegal search and seizure.
Yeah.
We've completely just trampled the Constitution, and it's almost a non-story, which really upsets me. To me, this story, wiretapping 8 duly elected United States senators, to me it makes Watergate look like a jaywalking ticket.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I always like, when I was much younger, I'm 39 now. When I was like 21, 22, I was like read a lot of like Ron Paul and Rand Paul stuff. And I liked their, stance on trying to end all of this stuff. But, they never got a lot of traction with either party, really. I mean, it just seems like something that at one point I thought maybe we'd get some changes to like the Patriot Act, but it stood still ever since 9/11.
Well, you hit on really why I'm running. So what I found was I had never worked in politics. I've been a Navy guy. I'd been a magazine editor. I saw what was happening in our culture, angry about it, went to work for President Trump in the tail end of his first term. I was the press secretary at the Pentagon and witnessed his own cabinet members trying to undermine him. And that really triggered me. And having worked, my first newspaper I worked for was the nation's oldest newspaper, the New York Post. It was founded by Alexander Hamilton. And if you think back to the election in 2020, that newspaper, the Free Press, was subjugated and what do you call that? Not blacklisted, but basically shadow banned by all other media. So the Washington Post and New York Times would not run the Hunter Biden laptop story. And then,
the Post did, right? Yeah.
The Post did. The Post broke that story, and they should have won a Pulitzer for breaking that story.
Yeah.
But instead, they were shadow banned. They were blocked. Big tech censored them. Facebook, YouTube, Google all suppressed that story. And as a former member of the press, I was like, this is electioneer. This is election rigging.
Yeah.
If you suppress the Fourth Estate and tell that, it's like, might as well be Pravda. And I was disgusted by that, so I went and worked for Tommy Tuberville. He was new to the U.S. Senate. He was a coach, had never worked in politics before. I had never worked in politics before. So we walked into the Senate day one expecting that the Democrats would treat us terribly, which, check, they did. But what shocked me was behind closed doors, the Republican Party was just as bad. So if you think back to 2021, the Republican Party was at its lowest ebb since probably 1930. Since the Hoover administration. It was unpopular to be a Republican in 2021. And it was even more unpopular to be a MAGA Republican. I mean, the Democrats hated us, of course, but the establishment Republicans were like, oh, you MAGA trash. I mean, it was bad. We were walking past 25,000 National Guardsmen to get into the office every day, and it was grim. But that's what really opened my eyes to what some people have called the blob in Washington, the uniparty blob in Washington, D.C. and they go along to get along, and they don't want to actually discuss issues like this because it gets in the way of them getting elected.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, and then, the media, actually, do you know you're talking to a real warlord right now?
Oh.
Yeah, you pull up my article. The media, look at the media's unfair coverage of me. This is, I think you'll like this. Jamie will pull it up for us.
Nice.
Here.
Well, that's what, what the media does.
Look at this. See, that's me.
Oh, cool.
So,
nice.
This just ran last week. This is a lot of drama in my life.
Yeah.
This investigative journalist was following me. But,
they do that.
And then he goes on to talk about, I made a comment and I was joking to the reporter where I was like, I'm a warlord, bitch. And it was obviously a joke.
They don't have humor.
No, they don't have humor. I know.
The left has lost a lot of its humor, unfortunately, and that's what mystifies them about President Trump. He makes a joke, and then they take it like, that he's going to run in 2028, and they lose their minds, right? He's kidding.
Yeah.
They don't get the humor.
No, they're like, no.
He's a fascist. He's taking over.
Oh, he's taking over.
I hadn't been in the Alabama race 24 hours. I literally had announced I was running for Senate, hadn't been in the race 24 hours, and my feed was lit up. You're a fascist. You're a henchman for Donald Trump. You're a henchman for the orange, bad orange man, etc. It just is part of it today.
I think so now that I'm like doing this defense company and I like have reporters and stuff on me, I think there's I've realized that the government is very afraid of the media in many ways. It's very skittish because like what happened with this guy, which really messed me up a bit, is that he would start emailing like the military for comment and like congressmen that I like do appropriations with. And then they'd be like, Steve, what the fuck? And I'm like, I don't know. I can't stop this guy. Like he's just coming.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, they can subtly shank you.
But the thing is, like, if there was less regulation and laws around it, like the reason everyone's so skittish is because they can get in trouble. Basically, is my thought. But like, if you couldn't get in trouble as much, like for what you say, then the media wouldn't have as much power. I feel.
I have a soft spot for the media because I started. That's how I started my career, and I believe that the fourth estate is critical to a functioning democracy. I actually
I agree with this.
Taught journalism ethics for 8 years at the graduate level in the University of Alabama. But I would fail 90% of the reporters out there for being completely unethical. And there are journalism rules that they just don't follow anymore. And the worst of it is they write articles from articles. So at least that reporter for you actually
he followed me for months.
Followed you and quoted you and did his background research.
Clear,
a lot of the
worst
journalists
I am a warlord.
a lot of the worst journalists though will write an article from that article and never even bother to call you. And that's where I really have a problem with the follow-on stories that are just rewritten garbage, probably written by AI.
Probably AI, and it's a little bit of laziness, and they're trying to get clicks and all that stuff. And yeah, I mean,
it's a good title, though. I mean, if you're going to be called something, I'd rather be called a warlord than a fascist. I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of badass.
Yeah, it's kind of got that.
But anyways, it's funny because it's like I thought when I talked to this guy, I thought Reuters was just like more of like a headlines. Like I didn't know they're doing investigative journalism.
Yeah, they do. Actually, Reuters still does a lot of good journalism.
Yeah, I just didn't know that. I thought my PR team should have briefed me a little bit better. Jack, that's on you. Right? Jack, what the hell?
The PR guy always gets the blame, Jack. I said that having been a public affairs officer in the Navy for 26 years.
Oh man. All right, so when does the race kick off? I mean,
it's now.
It's starting.
We're in it.
You're in it.
We're in it. Yeah. If you want to go to my website, Murphy for Senate.
Plug it.
MurphyForSenate.com.
Let's check out the website.
Yeah, go check it out.
Let's check it out.
I launched the website with a whole full plank of issues, and I think that's so important. So launch with a full set of issues, right? That I think it's important to let the voters know. What I'm going to do, because senators are there for a long time. Yeah, they're the longest elected officials, so they're there for a minimum of 6 years. But a lot of senators have been there 30 years, right? They're there 3 terms or more.
Yep.
And it's almost impossible to get a sitting senator out. And so I'm telling the people of Alabama, be very careful about who you vote for, and look at their record. I haven't run for office before, but I have a record. I worked for Trump in the first term. I worked for Tuberville between Trump's terms. I just left the White House 3 weeks ago. And I think that's important.
I've
So,
never met Tuberville, but I've seen him on the golf course before.
Oh, really?
From afar.
He's a good golfer.
Yeah, it's in Tampa. It's called Old Memorial.
Yeah.
It's outside of Tampa. Yeah, I saw him. I think he's I don't know if he's a member there or not, but I've seen him.
Yeah.
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 He seems like he'd be good though.
Oh, he's hilarious.
He was like 2 holes over from me.
He's got a great sense of humor, and he is extraordinarily kind to. I mean, having worked closely with him, I was with him a lot, and we'd walk down the halls of the Senate. He would speak to every janitor, to every housekeeper, to every intern. He was almost more interested in them than he was in the other senators, and it's just something I admire about him.
I feel like the charisma there. I mean, you have it too. Like, I feel like to be like a senator. I mean, every senator I've ever met, very charismatic. It just makes sense. Obviously,
You got to like people. Yeah. I don't know. There's some senators who don't. And it's always a little weird. There's some that are introverts. Coach would say, "Oh, he's a weirdo."
He's a weirdo.
Yeah, and there are a couple.
I wonder how they win.
I don't know. That's the mystery. Is like things. So you can click on each one of these. All right. So issues.
Before you click, let me see. So
there are 13 of them.
All right. These kind of look pretty aligned with Trump's policies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Crushing crime. America First National Defense. Okay, we're a defense podcast. Let's go to this one.
Yeah, let's talk about defense.
Let's talk about defense on the defense podcast. All right, so you're a Navy captain, as you mentioned. All right, so here's where shipbuilding.
Shipbuilding is critical.
So I went to high school in Mississippi where we had a shipyard.
Yeah, Gulfport?
Ocean Springs.
Ocean Springs.
Next to Biloxi, yeah. And my dad worked at Northrop Grumman, so he worked in the shipyard down there.
Yeah.
So yeah,
a lot of people from Mobile work over in that.
So in Alabama, where are we going to do the shipbuilding?
Well, we've got Austell and Mobile and Alabama shipyards. We've got a lot of ship. My priorities, I mean, if it's good for national defense and it's good for the United States, inherently it's good for the state of Alabama.
Yeah.
And so like most politicians look at it backwards. They say, well, is it good for my state? And then I don't really care about the other two.
Yeah.
If it gets me votes, if I can buy votes with that. And I am just not that kind of politician. I believe that if it's good for the United States and it's good for our national defense, then inherently it's good for Alabama. So I look at companies and have done that as national security advisor to Tommy Tuberville. That's how we measured whether it was something we would support or not. And it always works out. If you look at things, I think, through that holistic view for the whole country, it reflects well on the office.
And it'll work back for the state, too.
It will come back to the state. And in fact, a drone company that we work very closely with, I found them very early when they just started.
DJI? No, I'm kidding.
No, not DJI.
Not DJI.
Not GJ. Sail Drone.
Yeah, I know Sail Drone.
Love Sail Drone.
Yeah.
Right? The California company.
Amazing company, though.
Amazing company.
Yeah.
Doing incredible things. And, I no connection at all.
Pull up a tab on the Sail Drone.
There was no connective tissue at all to Alabama. But I said, this is incredible. This is essential to our national security.
These are some big boy autonomous sail drones.
Well, it's brilliant. It's really expensive to throw a satellite into space, but it's really easy to shove an aluminum sailboat off from a pier at 4 knots, right? That's just a very manageable, and every combatant commander says, I need more ISR. I need more.
They want more.
And Sail Drone is a way to deliver that. So when I started working with Sail Drone and showed them to the senator who also loved Sail Drone, it was a California company. Didn't have any connective tissue at all to Alabama. Now, it ended up, happily, that they began building Sail Drones in Mobile. At Austell is building them now, which is great. But it's just an example, and I say that to, if there are any staffers listening, like, do what's best first for national security and then worry about it. And really don't worry about the parochial issues. It will come to pass if you do the right thing.
Well, I would say we're building in Alabama. That's where we're putting our manufacturing for our AI machine gun.
Outstanding.
We're looking at our space right now, actually.
Great.
It's like 200,000 square feet or something. But
up in Huntsville?
Near Huntsville.
Madison County?
It's going to be I think north of Huntsville, actually.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
But I like Alabama. I think it's good labor force there.
Yeah.
And
more engineers per capita than any other area of the nation.
So we're doing Austin, where our headquarters are, and then Alabama is our second will be our second place, and that's
great.
Yeah.
Well, welcome. I'll take you to a barbecue when you
let's
come
do
in.
it. Yeah,
It's
and then I'll become a Bama fan.
Yeah.
I went as a Penn State fan. I need a new team anyway.
Yeah, you do.
But like there used to be actually back in the 80s, there were great Bama Penn State games.
They were.
When Paterno,
legendary.
Yeah, legendary. Those used to be the legendary games.
I'm an Alabama fan, full disclosure.
Yeah.
The
you have to
coach
be.
was the coach of Auburn. And, when I worked for him, I would say to people,
The Iron Bowl? Is that the Iron Bowl?
Yeah, the biggest rivalry in college football. And half the state is depressed every year after that. But I would say to people, like, people would say, how is an Alabama fan working for, an Auburn football coach? And I said, well, he's an equal opportunity employer. And he'd lean over my shoulder and say, no, I'm not.
Yeah. I'm not. That's like, wait, go back to the issues tab. All right, so defense, that all makes sense on defense. Border, I get. Yeah, let's go. All right, gun. Let's talk gun owner. So I make a gun turrets. This is good. What's the gun ownership stuff? Let's talk gun ownership.
The left likes to say the Constitution is a living, breathing document. No, it's not. It says what it says. And what part of the Constitution do you not understand? Shall not be infringed.
Yeah.
That is extraordinarily clear.
Yeah.
Clarence Thomas once, somebody was asking him, what's an originalist and what does that mean? And he said, well, when you see a stop sign, what do? Do you stop? Yes. Then you're an originalist.
Yeah, it makes sense. I think the only time
said.
it should really change is if you can get enough votes for a new amendment. Right.
That's
you can change it.
our
That's basically
founders.
it.
Our founders were geniuses.
Yeah.
And
the amendment process is pretty hard.
The
though.
amendment process is really hard. They made it that way by design.
Yeah.
It is essential, and it's funny because every time crime, there's like in Montgomery, our capital in Alabama this weekend, there was a deadly shooting. It was an HBCU event, and I guess two folks got in a shootout right there in downtown Montgomery and shot 12 people, killed 2. And the mayor of Montgomery came out and said, well, it's because of concealed carry.
Yeah.
No,
Wow.
that is not what caused.
Yeah, you don't need to
That's not
conceal
what
it. You can still
caused
just
this.
shoot. You don't need to
Right.
conceal. I can just walk around with a gun and shoot.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just amazing, though, how the left will want to place blame everywhere but where it's due.
There's so many shootings nowadays. Like, it's crazy.
It's
I wonder what that is.
It's a collapse of culture,
Yeah.
is what it is.
Yeah.
And we saw here in Washington, the president said enough. The president of the United States said, okay, look. And in Washington's a special case because really the Secretary of the Army is technically kind of the governor and has the ability to call out the National Guard, so he can federalize the National Guard in Washington, D.C. and inject them into the city, which he did against a lot of people's recommendations and over the cries of much of the city itself. And unbelievably, crime just dropped precipitously. It just, and I have a condo in Washington. I saw it myself. My neighbor was robbed at gunpoint.
Yeah, no, this is all recent too, right?
This is all this summer.
Yeah, because it was getting pretty dangerous here, like last year.
Oh, it was awful.
Like I would walk around and I don't usually get scared, but like I would get scared. Like,
yeah, we're men.
Around, like, Logan,
we're
but even around Logan Circle, like a nice place, it was getting scary.
It was getting
straight up.
It's getting straight up scary. And everybody said, oh, it's crime and it's a difficult problem and it's socioeconomic and it's this and it's that and the other thing and excuse after excuse after excuse. And Trump called it the National Guard and it stopped. And that is an example to me of what should be done to city. If the governor of the state, if the mayor of the city can't control crime, then by God, let's send in the National Guard.
Now are they doing it in Chicago now? Or
he wants to do it in Chicago.
There's like a lawsuit going on.
He can do it in Chicago to protect federal facilities.
Yeah.
But he needs the governor of unless it's an insurrection, and there's a good argument for it being an insurrection.
Chicago, I really don't like going there.
No, and that's just. I mean, think about these beautiful cities that Western civilization built, Baltimore and. Chicago,
Baltimore should be way better than it is.
They're Detroit. They were, and many of them are coming back. But they were gorgeous cities, and they're blighted by crime. And the people who suffer the most are minority populations, primarily poor populations that live in those cities, and they live in terror. And there's no reason we should live like that.
I agree.
And finally, we had a president who stood up to it and said, no, I'm not going to put up with this.
Yeah.
This is the nation's front door. He said his dad said, and I love this quote. He said, my dad said, if you walked into a restaurant and the front door was dirty, kitchen's dirty too.
For sure.
And Washington, D.C. is the front door of the nation.
Yep.
I love how he's cleaning it.
I like that. I mean, I think that, I noticed because obviously I work, I try to sell this to the government. So I talk to them a good amount trying to do that. And I've noticed a lot of their policies right now, it's very focused inward. Like they're focused on, the nation, the border, cleaning up here, and like less abroad as a general like policy, like high level. So like that's where the budgets are going and stuff.
It's America first.
Yeah, and it makes sense because that's what the administration. I mean, that's what they ran on. They said they were going to do that. People are like, some people get surprised when they're like, "Oh my god, I can't believe they're doing this." And I'm like, "No, that's
exactly what we said we were going to do."
Yeah, it's like they said in the campaign that they were going to do.
Well, CNN said this week that Trump's popularity is at 52%, and it's the most remarkably steady opinion poll of any modern president. And CNN said this. He said, well, he's delivering on exactly what he said he would do.
Yeah, I mean, he's just doing exactly what they said they were doing.
But what politician does that?
And
that's what's amazing about, like, in my lifetime,
yeah, I know,
I can never remember. I mean, politicians throughout my lifetime said, oh, we're going to move the embassy in Israel to Jerusalem, and they never did it. And Trump just did it, right? Trump said, he said Iran would never get a nuclear weapon. He pledged that. He said those words, never going to get a nuclear weapon. Now, like Obama drew red line after red line, and they just kept crossing the red lines. And Trump just bombed the crap out of Iran. They're like, I said you're never getting a nuclear weapon, and just didn't. He follows through, and it's so refreshing in an elected official that he carries out what he said he was going to do.
Yeah, I mean, I had like a Republican restaurant owner. So I used to be in restaurant software. Yeah. My last company I sold to DoorDash. Nice. So I used to do a lot of restaurant tech stuff in New York City.
I used to be in restaurants too, but as food critic.
And oh, nice. So I had this guy who was like bitching about like, deporting a lot of the kitchen staff. Yeah. And he's a donor to the Republican. I was like, well, you donated. You voted for it. Like they said they were going to do that. And he's like, they was acting shocked. I was like, why are you shocked, bro? Like,
well, that's the part that a lot of elected officials, and maybe it's unwise. I'm not a politician, so it may be unwise to talk about this. But a lot of potential donors have said to me, like, "Oh, well, Morgan, a lot of my staff is illegal." And they're great people, and I know they are great people. I'm sure they are great people, and I don't blame anyone for wanting to come to this country, to better their life and work hard, and. I don't blame someone for wanting that. I do blame them for the first thing they've done when they come into our country is break our laws. That's not fair, and it's not fair to the people who do it legally. I don't want the first in line to be the last served.
Mm-hmm. The only reason I like, I would say I lean more right, but the only reason I like immigration more than maybe the current admin is because we're in a population decline, and we're going to run out of people.
Yeah, it's just not the way. Not the way. It's not the way, but like population growth.
The issue is that the right way would be like to make a better path to get in here legally, but like it's so hard to change those laws and make that faster.
Well, it's deliberately up to...
Maybe you can do it, though.
Yes. I want to neck down immigration, and I'll be completely frank with you. We don't have a handle on who's here.
Yeah.
And the Biden administration just allowed 20 million people to flood this nation, and we don't. And they've stressed our school system. They've stressed our housing. They cause young people not to have affordable housing. They've taken jobs that should go to American citizens. And a lot of them have a criminal element. We've allowed a lot of
definitely
fighting age males, in particular Chinese, to come into this. We don't have a handle on it. And until the government has a handle on who is here legally and illegally, I think we should neck down immigration.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I just, the challenge is just then like, okay, we're going to get them out of here. And now we need to like some new ways to get them back in, like legally. Which I feel like has always been the challenge. You hear like both sides say like they both want that. Yeah. Like both want like a pathway to citizenship.
We have a lot of pathways to come. I mean, and few Americans really understand when you like take a green card holder. When someone gets a green card, statistically they bring in 3.5 other additional people: their parents, children, a spouse, and as it nets out. We need high-skilled immigrants. But low-skilled immigrants are a drag on our economy. So it does nothing to grow the population if you're growing a population of people who are dependent on the government. It only hurts the existing population.
I don't actually have any data on this, but I'll just make this up. But they're not really, maybe PhD candidates, a lot of them are like immigrants. They're like Chinese people, like in our schools. Are we deporting them?
Well, I mean, I love what Rubio's doing.
We're teaching China all of our sweet software techniques, and then they're going back there.
Yeah, it's not really the smartest strategy.
What's up with that?
It's stupid. And I call it the impenetrable wall of government stupid. We do a lot of things that when you see it as just a lay person, you say, like, Whiskey Tango Foxtrot.
Yeah.
What are we doing here? And then some high academic, think tank person who could tell you how to build a clock but doesn't know what time of day it is will explain it to you as if you're an idiot. Like, oh, well, of course we have to educate all of these Chinese scientists so that they can outproduce us and out-engineer us in their own country. Yeah.
Exactly, dude. I'm like, what is going on here? We're already behind China.
So they can get really ahead.
Well, the thing is, they're so far ahead in manufacturing. It's crazy.
Manufacturing is a whole science, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going through it right now trying to build out my manufacturing plant.
It's one thing to design the product, but then to manufacture is a whole nother design challenge. And we've just surrendered that. And there's an art to manufacturing that, I mean, most famously, it was Henry Ford who came up with the manufacturing, the production line.
Yep.
And China has done, how many Henry Fords are in China right now that we just don't know about and don't care about?
I mean, if you watch YouTube videos of Shenzhen, it'll scare the shit out of you. I mean, it's like sometimes I'll just watch that at night and scare myself.
Yeah.
It's crazy there.
Good. More Americans should. And it grieves me. I launched my campaign in Birmingham, my hometown, under Vulcan. We have the second largest statue in the world, or at least in the United States, is in Birmingham. It's Vulcan, the god of the forge, right? He's a big cast iron guy. He's not wearing any pants, by the way, so he moons the backside of the city.
The Vulcan.
But we always say there's a full moon over the suburb of Homewood. But always a full moon.
Always.
But Vulcan, I launched under Vulcan because he's a symbol of Birmingham's manufacturing strength. But the irony is the last steel mill left Birmingham in 1971, and we let it go. And our elected officials didn't put up a fight for our manufacturing. I'm going to put up a fight for our industrial base. That's why I'm running.
Yeah, I mean, we need to. Because it's like a national security issue for sure.
Absolutely, it's a national security issue. It's a national security issue. Like, World War II, we won World War II not through our amazing technology. A lot of people say, oh, yeah, we won. No, the Germans had amazing technology. They had, V-1 rockets and V-2 rockets and the first jet aircraft. And
tanks. The
best tanks. And they really, they had almost the best of every weapon, best submarines. The Germans they were technically superior, which is why there's the Werner von Braun Center in Huntsville, Alabama, right? We took their.
That's my CTO's favorite scientist.
Yeah. I mean, genius scientists. And we kicked their ass with just overwhelming brute force.
Yeah.
And mass has the old cliche, quantity has a quality all of its own. And so we just overwhelmed them with a lot of dumb weapons, which worked fine. And now you talk to admirals and generals, and when I say to an admiral, like, you think it's bad that the U.S. Navy has, half the number of ships of the Chinese Navy? And they're like, Morgan, and I hate this expression, they say, Morgan, we have exquisite capabilities.
Oh my God, yeah.
And I know we do have exquisite
Look, a Virginia-class submarine is amazing.
It's exquisite.
But we don't have that many.
We don't have that many. We have we got 70? 70 subs.
Yeah.
And each sub, let's say we have 50 Tomahawks. And right now we're saying, okay, the U.S. Navy is going to be in charge of sinking all of the Chinese fleet, the Chinese merchant fleet. Okay, they've got 3,000 merchant ships, and we have 70 subs, only a third of which are deployed. So you have 20 subs with 50 Tomahawks on them. So what we could take out, if every Tomahawk sank the ship, which is not.
Nope.
How many could we take? We couldn't put a dent in their fleet. And it is something Americans don't know. When I say to people like, hey, the Chinese built 900 ships last year and we built 7.
Yeah.
Right? That's a problem.
I mean, we're building like 1.1 Virginia class a year now.
It's a manufacturing problem. And because here in Washington, what people talk about with the utmost seriousness is the DIB, the Defense Industrial Base. And I bang my head on the table because there's no daylight between the industrial base and the defense industrial base. We turned Cadillac motor cars made tanks, engines, right? Ford made aircraft. We take our consumer manufacturing and we convert it.
If we were in a war, yeah.
Right. You can't, and we've chased our industrial base offshore and let it go to India and China and Vietnam and everywhere else. And you can't very well take a YouTuber and convert them into a welder. It is just not, it's just not a transferable
No, welding
skill.
is very difficult. I've tried it before when I was in the Navy.
Yeah.
When I went to Newport News and we did some welding and stuff. It's an incredibly hard job.
Yeah. I mean, you burn right through that metal, right?
I mean, yeah, it takes a lot of strength. I'm not that strong. Yeah. It wears out, easily. Yeah. The other thing, though, one other thing that's really weird in my startup world, in the tech startup world, a lot of these companies are like, we're going to 3D print, and I'm like, China's laughing at that. Mm-hmm. Like these are injection molded, so they stamp these like in the factory, boom, 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 and they make so many. In the injection,
they make 15 million of these a year.
Yeah. And so like, what we really need is like serious factories, not like we're not going to 3D print our way out of this, like.
And it's good for people. So in Alabama in the 90s, the state gave an incentive to Mercedes-Benz to build its first factory outside of Germany, $250 million. And the whole financial world made fun of the state. So the Wall Street Journal said, Alabama, a state first in little but football, has given the largest tax break in corporate history to a private luxury automobile company. And I wrote in Forbes at the time, because I was a junior reporter at Forbes back then, that it was a good idea. It cost the state, I'm using round numbers, $250 million to lure Mercedes-Benz to Alabama. Today, last year, Mercedes-Benz and its associated suppliers, and I'm not counting Honda, Hyundai, ThyssenKrupp, Airbus, and all the other many manufacturing companies that have come to Alabama since Mercedes put the star in Vance, Alabama. But not including those, just Mercedes and its associated suppliers contributed $892 million in tax revenue just last year to the state. So it was a really good investment.
It is a great investment.
By the state to lower taxes for manufacturing to incentivize them to come. And that is exactly what I will do as United States Senator, is do that across the nation. We need to bring manufacturing back to this country.
Imperative. All right. Well, that's me. I'm glad you're on board with that. I mean, that's everything. And the manufacturing, not just Alabama, but all of them. I mean, any state really needs it. I mean, they all.
It's good jobs. It's good jobs for young people that, in 1980, the average household made $17,000. That was with one person working, and the average house cost $42,000. So 2.7 times your salary. Today, the average household makes $83,000. That's with two people working, and the average house is like $420,000, which is 5x your salary. And young people look at that and they say, unobtainium, can't do it. You could do it if you had a job that paid you $100,000 a year to make, aircraft or cars or iPhones. Like, that's why I love what the president is doing with tariffs to bring this back. Like, whether it's a washing machine or an iPhone, like, we need to make it here.
100%. What else we got on the list here? Oh, I like this. Abolish the IRS.
Oh, yeah. Get rid of them. The IRS, I mean, what I say in this policy is, like, I'm not even talking about lowering taxes, although I'm a Republican, so I would like to see taxes go down, right? But let's just say we keep raising the same amount of money.
Yeah.
Right now, to collect $4 trillion, it costs us $1 trillion to collect that $4 trillion. So
that's crazy.
It's a huge drag on our economy. And they're like, with all the AI and sophisticated algorithms we can run, surely there is don't call me Shirley, right?
No.
But surely there's a better way.
There has to be. Taxes are so confusing.
They're deliberately confusing because the tax code is 400,000 pages. And it's that way because politicians love to change it for you as a constituent.
Yeah.
How can I help you make this?
Yeah.
Right? We could lower taxes on 3D printed models. And, they'll just come up with something to give you so you feel like they're doing something for you.
I like to say if an alien race were to come visit Earth, all they have to do is read our tax code to figure out our values.
To figure out how
you
stupid we are.
You show me your tax code, I'll show you your values.
If you ask most Americans what they paid in federal taxes last year, they say, "Oh, I got a refund." No, that's how much you overpaid in taxes last year. That's not how much you paid, and they just don't know. And that's how the government has duped the average American into. Income tax was bad, but withholding is the devil, because you just it's like a boiled frog. You just do not know how much money it's the biggest thing.
Withholding's awful because you're basically giving an interest-free loan to the government. Right?
That's right. It's terrible. Yeah. It's terrible for you financially, but it's also like there are a lot of people who don't have regular incomes.
Yeah.
Right. That they accept cash. They are here illegally. They're visitors to this country. There are a lot of people we could get into paying federal taxes if we had the fair tax is what I'm a proponent of, which is essentially a national sales tax. Now, the trick here is make sure that you repeal the IRS first. Income tax has to go away before we have any discussion of putting in a national sales tax, because there's one party, their initials are the Democrats, who would love to put in a national sales tax in addition to the income tax, and I won't have that.
Yeah, I think the tax code could be. I think that it could be if it were massively simplified. We would increase our GDP so much. The productivity would go up. It's just such a. Every year we all work on this. It's so annoying. We all talk about it. It's like a mind virus.
Yeah, it is a mind virus.
It's a mind
and
virus.
It's gone away. And it's something that I'm gonna fight tooth and nail. It needs a champion. Everything in the Senate that you want to get done, and I know how the Senate works. I've worked in the Senate. I've seen it at the staff level.
Yeah.
There are a lot of politicians who say these pie in the sky. They promise a lot of stuff. But how the Senate works is you have to have, if there's something you're passionate about, a senator, one senator, 5 senators can get it done. If they keep at it.
Yeah. But then it would have to pass the House, I guess, too, right?
Yeah.
That's the easier part.
Yeah.
That's the easier part. I think there's an appetite for it.
This would be awesome to make the tax code simpler.
Make the tax it would make America richer. And that's what I want.
I feel like both the people and the government would all make more money.
Would all make more money.
Everything.
It's just basic economics, and I have an MBA, and so a lot of times I get in arguments with my liberal friends about economics, and they agree with me. There's head nodding. I say, well, when we tax something or fine something, we get less of it. So if you don't like speeding in your neighborhood, you give out fines, essentially a tax on speeding, and we get less speeding, right? I get head nods. Yeah. If you like something and you want more of it, let's say solar panels or electric car, you subsidize it. You get more solar panels and electric cars. Head nods from my liberal friends. So if you tax work, we're going to get less work. Oh, no. If you subsidize unemployment, we're going to get more unemployment. Oh, no. The laws of economics break down when we get to things like that. But I'm at heart, I love economics, and this is a passion point.
Let's talk about the mechanics. What do you got?
I was going to say, did you know I read the book on fair tax?
Did
you?
Book. I did.
Yeah.
I did.
How was it?
No, it was good. It was interesting. I read it a number of years ago.
Yeah, it was popular several years ago.
Yeah, the one thing I can't remember, but that always comes up about the fair tax is that people attack proponents of the fair tax saying
it's regressive.
That it's regressive.
Yes.
Yeah, bust that myth.
Yeah, so
bust it.
I'm a bust it wide open. So the fair tax is genius in that what it says is there's a household income at which, if you're below that income level, it would be punitive and regressive to tax you. Right? There's a minimum subsistence that you need, a minimum income you need just to buy food and housing, clothing, etc. And it's not fair because the rich, are way above that level. And so the fair tax addresses that by sending a prebate out. So the government's great at sending checks, right? We send checks and direct deposit to everybody all the time. Social Security, military, we send lots of checks out. The IRS excels at that. So the government says, okay, look, let's say, and I'm going to use really round numbers, let's say $80,000 is the subsistence level that you're spending, and that's not, but let's just say it is, just so I can do
Do the math.
And the tax rate is 25%. So we add up all the taxes that we pay now in income tax, Social Security tax, FICA, Medicare, Medicaid, all that stuff, and you roll it into, and they're all taxes, right?
Mm-hmm. It's all taxes.
It's all tax. So let's just say that rate is 25%. So if you were earning $80,000, then you would be paying in sales tax every time you bought a sandwich or whatever. You would essentially be paying 25% sales tax. So of your $80,000, $20,000 of it would go to taxes. The government will send you a prebate for that $20,000 at that subsistence. So everybody in America would get twice a month, $20,000 divided by 26.
Yep.
Yeah, and that would offset the tax you would pay on the first $80,000, a prebate.
That's easy.
There you go.
Myth busted, bro.
Yeah,
Busted.
so not regressive.
Let's talk about the mechanics of running a campaign. So you have like a campaign manager. What's the staff like? Campaign manager.
The staff.
Like what's like the?
I always hated when politicians spoke about themselves in the royal we.
Yeah.
Like our campaign and we're running this and we're running. It's like, isn't that you? That's you.
Yeah.
You're singular, right?
Yeah.
That I can see. But now that I have a large group of people helping me, it's an easy trap to fall into because it really is. It's a complicated beast.
Yeah. So like you have like there's
campaign manager.
Campaign manager. There's like
a local one in Alabama, then a national campaign consultant who is a strategist, and you're in the Navy, so we can talk. There's the strategist, and then there's the tactician.
Yep.
And those are the two levels, and then you've got lawyers and PR people,
and then you have like ground. Do you have like ground people on the
ground team,
like hitting the doors, knocking the doors?
And we don't yet. I've just been in this thing now. This is day 16.
Yeah, it's new. It's new.
So
obviously.
yeah, it's new, but definitely going to have a lot of people on the ground, volunteers on the ground, who will go door to door, and that's still very much part of the strategy.
And then it's like fundraising and endorsements. That's what you're like going around. You're busy. You have to travel a lot to like get the fundraising.
Got to travel a lot. Got to make a lot of telephone calls. The mother's milk of politics, unfortunately, is money. And so I got to ask a lot of individual donors for a lot of money. I have to raise millions of dollars to get in front of voters. And our federal campaign laws are such that the max amount an individual can give is like $3,500.
$3,500 or something. Yeah.
So when you divide out like raising $1 million in $3,500 increments, it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
There's a lot of people to talk to.
What's like the for Senate these days? Like, what's a good number to raise? Is it like 6 million?
What's
10 million?
Well, I mean, it depends on what state you're running in. So if I were running in Texas this time, they're probably going to spend $700 million on that Senate seat.
That is crazy.
Georgia, I think, is probably going to spend $1 billion. $1 billion.
So some states obviously cost more.
Yeah,
competitive.
especially but Ruby Red, Alabama, I think is going to go to. It's a safe Republican seat.
Yeah,
and so it makes, and this is an open seat. So my former boss, Tommy Tuberville, is going to be the next governor of Alabama. He's doing great, and he's hugely popular in the state, one of the most popular elected officials.
Well, it makes sense.
Coach is going to walk in the door. He's done a terrific job. He did. I mean, again, not a politician like Trump, not a politician. Coach was not a politician, and it's weird. These non-politicians keep doing everything they said they were going to do.
Yeah,
and funny enough, voters like that. Yeah. So he's going to walk into the governor's office.
Now, does he decided to go from Senate to governor?
That's right.
Why?
I think
isn't it better to be a senator than a governor?
He took an amazing amount of crap.
I know Senate. The whole. Yeah, I remember we know the whole scandal. Yeah.
Also, I will say this about Coach is he's got an executive mindset. He really is. He sees the broad picture. He's great at building a team and getting people to deliver results. The Senate is so Byzantine and complicated, and it's consensus based, and it just takes forever to get anything done. It's not like he's used to blowing a whistle and having 100 people come running, and in the Senate you blow the whistle and 99 people turn around and say, "What are you doing?" So I think he's going to enjoy being governor more than being a senator.
I think so. That makes sense. No, governor seems
it's
pretty
suited
fun.
to his personality.
Yeah,
I think.
Plus, it makes. I mean, yeah, he's the coach. He's the coach of Alabama.
Yeah, he'll
Of
be the head coach. He'll be the head, and knowing
Head coach of
coach,
the
he'll
state.
want to be called coach. He's going to be the head coach of the state, and he's going to be a terrific head coach. I mean, I cannot wait for the signs when you enter Alabama to say, Coach Tuberville.
Coach Tuberville.
It's going to be
Governor.
awesome. It's
He
going to be
welcomes
great.
you.
Yeah, come on in.
Come on in.
Yeah, the first thing I want him to do is change the state song to "Sweet Home Alabama." Man, we've got this old ancient song that we sing that's like an old church hymn that's just like Alabama.
Oh my gosh!
It needs to be Leonard Skinner's "Sweet Home." I mean, that should be our anthem. And he'll do things like
That's
that.
lit. So when you're so when you're doing the campaign, how much time is spent up here in Washington versus in state?
Not
for this?
much.
It's mostly state.
Yeah, it's mostly in the state.
Mostly in the
And
state.
I came up here. I had some media hits. Thank you for this one.
Yeah.
I did Timcast on Monday in West
But
Virginia.
we do a lot. We hit a lot. A lot of people in government will see this.
Yeah.
We've been getting a lot of traction.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, I started this podcast mostly just because this took 3 years to build, and my co-founder, I was like, what am I supposed to do for 3 years while you're building the robot? And I was like, I guess I'll start a podcast.
I'll talk. Yeah.
I'll start a podcast on defense for marketing.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, as far as the military goes, we get a lot of great feedback, a lot of good fan mail. The staffers also as well. So you'll get some staffer hits. Not that might help you or not, but whatever.
Well, I'm a staffer. At heart, I'm I started learning about government. I didn't know anything about politics. I was a Navy guy.
Yeah.
And I came in here, and some of my opponents said, "Oh, he's a Washington D.C. insider." Well, I think we need people who understand how it works. It's important to come up to D.C. and not be naive.
Yeah.
It's important to know how D.C. works, know how the interagency works. I've worked at the White House. I've worked at the Pentagon. I've worked at the State Department. I've worked in the Senate. And so I understand how those pieces go together. There are only 3 ways to be successful in the United States Senate. One is to serve there 3 terms or 18 years, and then you get seniority, then you get a committee chair, and then you get to direct money back to your state, and that makes you a fixture. That's the parochial way. That is the typical way. Most senators do it that way. The second way is to be famous, like Coach. He walked in day one, and I saw these very important admirals and generals and CEOs, titans of industry.
Coach.
They'd go in and they'd meet with him, and they'd present whatever product they had, and then at the end of the meeting, they'd kind of like clear their throats and say, "Remember that game back in 1987?" And they'd be like 5-year-old boys, and Coach, to his credit, would remember every game. The third way to be successful in the Senate is to know what you're doing. And as a former staffer, our soon-to-be senior senator from the state, Katie Britt, was a staffer. She was the chief of staff to Senator Shelby. And so on day one, when she entered the Senate, she knew how cloture worked. She knew how a hotline worked. She knew the personalities of the Senate, and she was able to be much more successful than most freshman senators. She got the Lakin and Riley bill over the act almost immediately over the line. Because she knew what she was doing. Yeah. And that's the value proposition that I bring to the people of Alabama. We're going to have 2 freshman senators for the first time in a long time. Alabama, is not going to have a senator that's been there since Hitler was a private. And so that is what I can say to the people, honestly, in Alabama. It's like, when I walk in day one, I'm going to be able to get things done for you.
Yeah. Do you know, I don't know if you know this, but Clay works here, right?
No.
It was just Britt's chief.
Oh, that's awesome.
And Shelby's.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
that's great.
He runs our government
Yeah,
relations.
he's super.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I called him before you came in. I was like, tell me about this guy.
Yeah.
I need to do my research.
Clay said, well, I don't know.
No, he's like, I love that guy.
Yeah.
No, but
he's terrific.
Clay, I met Clay actually 3 years ago at the Army-Navy Country Club.
Nice.
Golfing.
Nice.
I got paired with him randomly.
Cool.
And we have a kid the same age. So we stayed in touch, and eventually he was like, I'm gonna leave the Hill and get into defense tech.
Well, I didn't know he landed here. That's great.
And that's why I know a lot.
Is that how you got talked into coming to Alabama?
That's how
Clay,
I know.
good on you. That was good. You got another one for the.
That's how I know.
state.
No, that's just how I know a lot about Alabama now. I guess because it's not like it's something I would know about.
It's the greatest. I love Alabama. It's.
It's been a really smart state what they've done. What they've done with Huntsville to get all the defense over the last 20, 30 years.
It's amazing.
I wish I would have owned property there 20
no
years
kidding.
ago.
Me too.
It was the state does a lot of really smart stuff. And I think it's trending that way. So it's like a good place to move and live. I tell people it's just
It's a pleasant way of life. And that's the thing is it's hard for conservatives tend to get into government and then they get voted out and they leave and they go back to their communities. And on the other side, there's this permanent class here in Washington that just never leaves. Washington voted for Kamala Harris at 93.5%. Like San Francisco, by comparison, I think was like 82.
Oh my God!
So it is so left here, and people just don't leave, and that is not how our founders envisioned our government to be a permanent fixture. So yes, a lot of people look say, oh gosh, you got to go to Washington.
I knew Kamala wasn't going to win, by the way, like early.
Really?
Well, I was talking to some people I was in Miami hanging out or something, and I was like asking some girls like what they think of Kamala, and they were like, oh, and they're liberal. They were like, oh, we want our first female president to be a baddie. She's not a baddie, and I was like, okay, this one's over. Because like, if
it sounds like a Miami conversation, Jack. What do you think?
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, think about it though. Okay, if she can't even get like her like female liberal
people, yeah,
they're like, nah, she's not a baddie. And I was like, okay, this one's done. Like this one's done.
Hard to be a baddie in a pantsuit.
They want like I think that actually is the thing though. This is different than Senate. Like I think for national politics, for president, I think what this is my opinion, what Democrats underestimate about Trump is he's so famous, so charismatic.
He's a pop culture icon.
Yeah, so like forget about put all issues aside. Like you got to run someone that has the same level of fame and charisma. I mean, he's hilarious
off the cuff. Hilarious. I mean, you just watch Trump and like when I interviewed him in the 90s for Forbes, and we loved Trump, and the media loved Trump. All the media loved Trump. But we loved Trump at Forbes because if you had a deadly boring story that was just about like this paint drying, it was the worst story ever. Yeah. You could call Trump and he would give you an unbelievably funny quote or great thing and make your story interesting.
Yeah, he's amazing. And what I think Republicans for the next presidential election, a lot of Republicans are like, no, we're winning because of policy, which whether that's true or not, whatever.
Yeah.
But like what they shouldn't underestimate is his fame. Like when they go to the next presidential election, you're not going to have a Trump. So like it will be harder because he's like so once in a lifetime, like
he's once in a generation. I cannot think of any president who's been more transformative. And when I was a kid, I mean, Ronald Reagan was president when I was in the 5th grade and was there until I was a sophomore in high school. And for years afterwards, when somebody mentioned the president of the United States, in my head, I thought of Ronald Reagan. He was just the president. Trump has passed him, and I never thought I would say that. I never thought I would say that there would be a more transformational president, but he has been. And I don't think there's. You go back to TR. I think would be the last president that was that transformational on the American scene.
And so that's why I think Republicans for the next presidential election know they don't have a Trump, so they need to be ready because it's not going to just be as easy as having
JD is the master of the meme. Well,
JD
he's really is mastering the meme.
JD is good, but he's not Trump.
Yeah,
So like
nobody is.
We'll see how it goes, but that's still far away from now. First, there's the midterms and there's Senate races and there's all kinds of stuff between now and then.
All kind of Senate
races.
Always.
I never thought I'd pay so much attention to all of this, but now that I'm a defense contractor, it's like weirdly political. So like I do pay attention because it affects like who I talk to.
Absolutely.
I thought I was just making technology, but it's not just technology.
Well, government has gotten so big, it's crept into everybody's life, and that's what happened. That's why I got into politics because I just noticed our culture collapsing, and it was a lot of times driven by what the government was doing, and it just ticked me off, to be frank.
Yeah, I really want a smaller government. I want much smaller.
I want it way smaller. It needs to be way smaller. It needs to get we need to get back to the way government was, and I think that's a lot of what Trump means when he says "Make America Great Again" is getting government out of our lives.
Yeah. Is there anything you want to plug for the campaign before we wrap?
Oh yeah, so what do you got? Come see me at my website. That's murphyforsenate.com. Follow me on Twitter. That would help a lot.
What's your Twitter?
My Twitter is Morgan W.W. Murphy.
Morgan W.W. Murphy.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter. That'd be great. And if you find it in the kindness of your heart to donate, however small it is, $25, $10. That would be enormously helpful because that is how you get your message out. Is grassroots. Is just $10 donation, a $15 donation. If anything I've said to you today says, and if you don't even live in Alabama, my pledge to you is to do what's best for the country first. And if you want a senator like that in the United States Senate who's going to stick up for American values and going to stick up for America first, then I'd appreciate your support.
All right, Morgan, that was amazing. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.